2,000 years ago, in the land of Judea, a man named Jesus of Nazareth walked among the people. He healed the sick. He fed the hungry. He taught forgiveness, mercy, and love. Many believed he was the promised Messiah, the Son of God. But others saw him as a dangerous threat, and in the end, their fear and hatred led to his death. The religious leaders, the Pharisees and Sadducees, watched him closely. Every miracle he performed drew larger crowds. Every teaching he gave carried authority that surpassed their own. He forgave sins, which only God could do, and he spoke openly, declaring, "I and the Father are one." To the leaders, this was blasphemy. If people believed him, their power would be lost. And so, they began to plot his death. On the night before his death, Jesus shared a final meal with his 12 disciples. He broke bread and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, given for you." He lifted the cup and said, "This is my blood of the new covenant, poured out for the forgiveness of sins." But among them was Judas Iscariot, who had already agreed to betray him for 30 pieces of silver. Later that night, in the quiet garden of Gethsemane, Judas arrived with soldiers. He greeted Jesus with a kiss, the signal of betrayal. The guards seized him and his followers fled. Jesus was taken to the high priest, where the Jewish council, called the Sanhedrin, gathered. They accused him of claiming to be the Messiah, the Son of God. Witnesses gave false testimony, but their stories did not agree. Finally, the high priest demanded, "Tell us, are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One?" Jesus answered, "I am, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of God." With those words, they tore their robes and shouted, "Blasphemy! He deserves death!" But under Roman rule, they could not carry out an execution. So they handed him over to Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. Pilate questioned Jesus. He found no fault in him, but the religious leaders stirred up the crowd, demanding his crucifixion. Even when Pilate offered to release him, the people cried out, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate tried to wash his hands of the matter, saying, "I am innocent of this man's blood." But finally, he surrendered Jesus to their will. Roman soldiers stripped him of his clothes and placed a scarlet robe upon him. They twisted a crown of thorns and pressed it into his head. They mocked him, kneeling and saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" Then they struck him, spat on him, and led him away to be crucified. Jesus was forced to carry his own cross through the streets of Jerusalem. Weak from the beatings, he stumbled and fell. A man named Simon of Cyrene was compelled to carry the cross behind him. They came to Golgotha, the place of the skull. There they nailed his hands and feet to the wooden beams. Above his head they placed a sign, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." As he hung in agony, the people mocked him, "If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." The soldiers cast lots to divide his clothes. 2 criminals were crucified beside him. One hurled insults, but the other turned to him and said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus replied, "Today you will be with me in paradise." For 6 hours he hung on the cross. Finally, he cried out, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." And with a final breath, he said, "It is finished." Then he bowed his head and gave up his life. At that moment, the sky grew dark. The earth shook violently. The great curtain in the temple, separating man from God's presence, was torn in two. Even a Roman centurion who witnessed it declared, "Surely this was the Son of God." His body was taken down and placed in a tomb, sealed with a massive stone. Guards were posted to ensure no one could steal the body. It seemed all hope was lost. But on the third day, everything changed. At dawn, some women came to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away, and the tomb was empty. An angel appeared and said, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen." Jesus appeared to his disciples, alive, showing them the wounds in his hands and side. Death could not hold him. The grave had no victory. Jesus was killed because of envy, fear, and hatred. He was crucified under Roman law, yet his death was no accident. It was the fulfillment of God's plan, a sacrifice of love for the forgiveness of sins. Through his death, the price for sin was paid. And through his resurrection, eternal life was offered to all who believe. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life.